everybody, welcome to another lesson of learning Japanese. Today we're going to cover an expression that is really common, and that is just how to ask permission to do something, or how to give permission to do something, and lastly, how to deny permission to do something. And in order to do that, we are going to use the Japanese phrases, the te form of a verb plus the phrasing mo ii desu ka, to literally mean, is it also okay to do verb? Secondly, te form of a verb plus the phrasing mo ii desu, as literally it is okay to also do verb. And thirdly, the te form of a verb plus the phrasing wa ikenai or wa ikemasen, to literally mean it is not okay to do verb. So basically this construction, this grammar construct, can be broken down into the following formula. First up, we're just going to have the te form of a verb. Next, we're going to have the particle mo to mean also. Next, we have the e adjective e, and this is going to take on the meaning of good or okay, basically. Right after e, we have the very common word des, and that's just going to end the sentence or statement. And finally, right after des, we have the particle ka to denote an interrogative tone, basically a question. It's the sentence ending particle that turns a sentence into a question. So we put all that together, and so te form of a verb mo ii desu ka means, is it also okay or good to do verb? And so yeah, this expression is used to ask permission to perform a certain action, and it works, it operates under the implication that there are already things that any given person is inherently allowed to do, such as breathing or blinking or talking. Hence, the particle mo here is giving that nuance of also. So basically, if I'm just standing here next to the person that I'm about to talk to, I'm already doing a number of things. I'm standing, I'm breathing, I'm looking around, and stuff like that. So when I ask permission to do something else that is more extreme and may need permission, I use the particle mo to mean also, because I'm asking if I can add on this verb onto the things that I am allowed to do. And so my addressee, after I ask for permission, my addressee is going to answer with either the affirmative or the negative, as in, yes, you can do that thing that you were wanting to do, or you can't, basically allowing or denying the permission. And for either of one of those, we have the proper expression as a part of this grammar construct. The first one is just going to be the te form of a verb plus mo ii desu, and that is going to be, it is okay to also do that thing that you want to do. As for the negative, as in it's not okay to do verb, then we have te form of a verb plus the phrasing wa ikenai or wa ikemasen. And so when I first asked for permission of this person to do something, I kind of established this air that there is a relationship between us in which the person I'm talking to is in a authoritative role to grant me permission to do the thing that I want to do. In answering my request for permission with either one of the things I just said, te form of a verb plus mo ii desu or te form of the verb plus wa ikenai, the addressee in his response is kind of reinforcing this relationship and kind of implying that he or she is in fact in an authoritative position to allow me permission to do that thing. If the addressee wanted to soften his or her answer and kind of put aside the potential tension that could come from a power relationship, such as one who can grant permission and one who needs to ask for permission to do things, the addressee could instead use the expression te form of a verb plus the phrasing kudasai to mean please do verb, as in please do that verb, as in, I give you permission, please do go ahead and do it if you want to. If the addressee wanted to deny permission yet still soften the response that he or she gives, then he or she can use the nai form of a verb plus the particle de plus the word kudasai to mean please do not do verb. And the kudasai pair of responses is actually very commonly used in substitution of the more kind of strict responses, te form of the verb plus mo ii desu or te form of the verb plus wa ikenai. So that there's an alternative the addressee has when he or she is giving or granting the permission that has been asked of him or her. But we also do have another alternative, and that is using the regular expressions te form of verb plus mo ii desu or te form of the verb plus wa ikenai. If we wanted to soften the response yet still exercise that relationship of authority, then we can simply add the sentence ending particle yo at the end of the sentence, of course, to soften that. Okay, so with that all covered, now let's go into some examples to get a good idea of this. For our first example sentence, we're gonna have a question, and our question is, この本を借りてもいいですか? And what this sentence is saying is it okay if I borrow this book? Or may I borrow this book? Let's break down the sentence. First up, we have kono, which means this. We have hon, which means book. We have o, which is the direct object marker. O is marking hon as the direct object of the verb that's about to come, which is the verb kariru, which is going to mean to borrow. And here we're going to change kariru into its te form, so it turns into karite. And so after the te form of the verb that we have, we add the particle mo, and then we add the phrasing ii desu ka to turn it into a question that asks permission to do the verb. So again, kono hon o karite mo ii desu ka is, may I borrow this book? And now for our next example sentence, we're going to answer that question. And our reply is the simple sentence, karite kudasai. And what this sentence is saying is just, yes, please borrow it. We have which just means yes here. Then we have karite, which is the te form of kariru, once again, to lend. Then since we have the te form of the verb, we can add the phrasing kudasai right after it to mean please do the verb. And this is a different grammar construct, but we've covered it before, so it should be familiar. So, karite kudasai means please borrow, and the in front of that, yes, please borrow. And this will be more naturally said as something along the lines of, yes, please do borrow it. As in, I am giving you permission to do so. For our next example sentence, we are going to ask another question, and our question this time is, Sumimasen, hochikisu o tsukatte mo ii desu ka? And what this line is saying is, excuse me, is it okay to use the stapler? Breaking down the sentence, we have first up Sumimasen, which is just a single word phrase basically, and it means excuse me. Next up, we have hochikisu, which is going to mean stapler. We have the particle o marking hochikisu, the stapler, as the direct object of the verb tsukao, and tsukao here is going to be changed into its te form. So tsukao means to use, and now we change it into its te form, so now it's tsukatte. Now we have our verb that's in its te form, so now all we have to do is add the phrasing mo ii desu ka to turn it into a question that asks permission. So tsukatte mo ii desu ka is it okay to use? To use what? The hochikisu, which is the stapler, and all together, once again, Sumimasen, hochikisu o tsukatte mo ii desu ka is, excuse me, is it okay to use the stapler? And now our answer to that question is again going to give permission to the last speaker to do the verb that he or she wanted to do, but this time we're not going to use kudasai, we're going to use the more formal, in line with this grammar construct, mo ii desu. And so for our reply, we have mochiron tsukatte mo ii desu yo. And if we break that down, first up we have mochiron, and this is just going to mean of course, basically. We have tsukatte, the te form of tsukao, to use. We have mo ii desu, and this is just going to be it is okay to use. Of course it is okay to use. And then we have the particle yo at the end because we want to soften this even though we're still exercising our authority to give you permission. For our next example sentence, again, we're asking a question. Our line is, Sumimasen, shashin o totte mo ii desu ka? And this line is asking, excuse me, is it okay if I take pictures or photographs? Breaking down the sentence, again, we start with sumimasen, which means excuse me. We have the word shashin, which means photographs or pictures. We have the particle o, marking it as the direct object of the verb toru, which means to take, and here we're going to change it into its te form, of course. So toru turns into totte, and then once again we add that default phrasing mo ii desu ka to turn it into a question that asks for permission. So shashin o totte mo ii desu ka is it okay to take pictures? Our response this time around though is a denial of permission. For our answer, we have the line ie shashin o totte wa ikemasen, and this is saying no, it is not okay to take pictures. We break down the sentence. First up we have ie, which means no. We have shashin o totte. Again, that's just going to be the same exact words from the question sentence, but this time instead of mo ii, we have wa ikemasen, and this is just going to mean is not okay. So it is not okay to take pictures. No, it is not okay to take pictures. Ie shashin o totte wa ikemasen. And so yeah, that's one of the more flat out denials, and that covers basically both of the potential answers that you can give to someone who's asking for permission to do something. However, it should be noted that this grammar construct is actually one of the examples where you shouldn't limit your thinking to just the things that are covered into this video, because you can answer the question, is it okay to do blank, in a lot of ways. Just think about it in English. If someone asks you if he can use your cell phone, you can say, yes, it's okay to use my cell phone. You could simply say, yeah, sure, or you could say, yeah, that's fine. On the other hand, you could say, no, sorry, or you could say, hell no. And the Japanese language corresponds to that too. There are a bunch of different answers you can answer, such as the very short one-liners, 大丈夫 or ダメ or いい. So while it is good to know how the answer to the question is in the same model as the question, there are of course much more casual and perhaps more common answers to the question, even though the question is rather formal. Basically, the point of this tangent is to just not limit yourself to the things offered in a particular lesson, because there are of course practically infinite ways to expand on what you're trying to say. And so yeah, this has been a pretty basic introduction on how to ask for permission to do something, how to grant permission to do something, and how to deny permission to do something, all in Japanese.